Great. Good morning, everybody. Happy March. Happy spring. So exciting. Thanks for joining us today. And we will go around and do introductions, name affiliation, and what's some sign of spring that you're seeing. I remember last time uh, Donna had said she was waiting for her red-winged blackbird, and like 2 days later, I was my first red-winged blackbird, so I'm pretty excited about it. I'm waiting for my spring peepers now, not there yet, but I'm Stephanie Cavino. I'm the executive director of the Blackstone Watershed Collaborative. I'm every time I go outside and I turn my on my like Merlin bird app, if you guys ever use that, I have it for open for maybe a minute and I'm hearing like 8 different birds. So I think that's a pretty springy sign. But like I said, my big one that I'm waiting for is the spring peepers. That's my favorite noise in the world. How about you, Kaylee?
Hi, everyone. I'm Kaylee McLaren. I'm the restoration manager at the Collaborative. Um, I haven't heard it yet, but my favorite sign of spring is the like cheeseburger song that the black-capped chickadees sing. It sounds like cheeseburger, like phonetically. I did a lot of field work in April last year, around this time almost, and it was awesome. It was like all I could hear all day long because I was just out in the field all day. So yeah, just waiting on that.
Love it. Kevin.
Hi everyone, I'm Kevin. I'm the finance and program manager for the collaborative. A new sign of spring that I'm learning kind of the hard way is that this is when a lot of grant applications are due. So a new sign of spring is being inundated with paperwork. So I don't look forward to spring next year.
Sorry, Kevin. Welcome to the nonprofit world. Curry, do you want to go next?
Sure. Yeah. Hi. I'm Curry. I'm with Groundwork Rhode Island, and so I saw a bunch of crocuses pop up the other day, which is exciting, and snowdrops at our office, and just seeing like the that vibrant green emerging, is my like favorite sign of seeing spring.
Love it. Thanks. Next I have Nick, Alyssa, and then Eric.
Yeah, hi everyone. This is Nick Cohen, Horza Witten Group. I guess in addition to the birds, I won't say specific sounds, but just like bird noise. When I left my house this morning, the street was noisy with bird calling, and that just like general noisiness was nice to hear for sign of spring.
Hello, everybody. My name is Alyssa. I just started with the Blackstone Heritage Corridor, so I'm very excited. I'm going to be the Community Programs and Partnerships Manager. So I'll be dealing with anything from junior rangers to volunteers to community events. So thank you all for having me. My sign of spring is I'm seeing a lot more dogs on the bike path. I really see so many more than I've seen in the winter, so it's a happy little surprise every time one crosses my path.
Gotta love that. And welcome, Alyssa. Really great to meet you.
Thank you.
I'm Eric Breitkreutz. I'm superintendent of Blackstone River Valley National Historical Park and Roger Williams National Memorial. Hello, Alyssa. Nice to see you again. Um, my sign of spring, I think Curry stole my thunder. It's all about the crocuses and snowdrops, but daffodils, daylilies, irises all starting to green out. So very cool.
Love it. Thanks, Eric. How about Ryan and then Judy, Katie, and Ellie?
Hi, my name is Ryan. I'm the recreational resources manager for the Blackstone Heritage Corridor. And for spring, it's like I guess it's really just like specific day weather dependent. But when my apartment gets too hot to the point where I can open a window.
I love it. That's a good one. It's a turning point.
Good morning, everybody. Judy Rondo. I'm the Non-Point Source Outreach Coordinator with the Watershed Planning Program at Mass DEP. And yeah, I think, the very first thing I start looking for is crocuses. Those are usually the earliest sign of spring, and I've been seeing those for a couple of weeks. And I think last month I said red-winged blackbirds. I'd still been waiting to hear. and hadn't. And so I've been hearing those for a couple of weeks. So that's really great. And I'm excited to report that I am hearing our peepers. So it's definitely spring.
I'll keep an ear out, Judy. Thank you for the
Yeah, I'm
hope
a little
there.
further south than you, I think. So it's coming.
Hi, everyone. My name is Katie Liming. I'm the Lake and Pond Coordinator for the City of Worcester. And one of my favorite signs of spring is community groups who are starting to put plans together for community litter pickups as all of our snow has melted and revealed the immense amount of litter that gets trapped in the snowbanks.
That's a good one. It's on my to-do list too here. Ellie, do you want to go next?
Hi, everyone. My name's Ellie. I'm an intern with Mass DEP's watershed planning program, specifically the non-point source section. And I think a sign of spring, I'm going to just copy everyone else, just the birds singing early in the morning and, the sun not setting at like 5 o'clock.
Absolutely. Critical for that warm weather. Thanks, Ellie. Nice to meet you. How about Drew and then Danielle M. and Anya?
Hi everyone, Drew Powell. I'm the Urban Regional Resilience Coordinator at DEM. Signs of spring I'm seeing are the buds on all of the trees are getting bigger, which is exciting.
Hi, everybody. I'm Danielle Maccheroni. I'm a Surface Water Quality Standards Analyst here at Mass DEP in the Watershed Planning Program. And my sign will be the longer daylight, like getting out of work and having it still be light out, and also getting home after the commute and having it still be light out. But crocuses are good too.
Hi, everyone. Anya Wolchinsky, Executive Director of Blackstone Heritage Corridor. My exciting thing for spring, last fall, I planted so many tulips and daffodils in our front yard. I did the traditional like trench method. And so I just kind of like snaked it around our front garden beds. And I'm really excited to start seeing some little leaf tips and little things pop up. So I'm out there every morning checking and seeing how things are growing. I probably should give them a minute to grow a little bit more, but really excited to see those coming in.
Thanks, Anya. I can't remember if I said who was next. How about Chris, Danica, and Danielle?
Good morning, everyone. Chris Hool. I'm a senior project manager with Ty and Bond, based in Sandwich. Actually, based in Plymouth, and that is one of my favorite signs of spring here in my neighborhood. Is the we have a big night that happens every year, and that was Monday. I put out my salamander crossing signs, and then we go and help them across the road so they're not squished. So we did that on Monday, and it was great.
Love it.
Not too many squished ones because it was a Monday and not a hot weekend this year, or St. Patrick's Day.
Nice. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks.
Hi, everyone. I'm Danica Belknap. I am the SNP Network liaison. And similar to others, finally, all of the snow in my yard has melted almost. There's like a few small remaining piles, but the snow has finally melted and I can see my garden and I am starting to see the little like tulips and hyacinths are starting to pop up. So I'm very excited about that.
Everyone, Danielle Perry with the No Restoration Center. It's definitely the daylight, extra daylight for me. It just automatically puts me in a better mood.
For sure. Thanks, Danielle. I've got Morgan, Heidi, and Paul.
Hi, everybody. I'm Morgan Husset, working at Clark University, and I've been happy, like a lot of you, to have more time outside after work and being able, I say, like, yeah, the snow is gone and we can play in the sandbox with my kid, sandbox is back, which we're both happy about.
Hi, everyone. Heidi Ritchie, Director of Policy and Advocacy at Mass Audubon. I'm seeing lots of signs of spring from hearing the pileated woodpeckers calling to each other and hammering to some snowdrops coming up in my garden. And yesterday I saw a small flock of red-winged blackbirds. So,
But
I have. Hey, everyone, I guess I'll just go here. I'm Paul Matheson. I'm at Worcester Polytechnic Institute, and the signs of spring that I've seen are both, certainly the grass, but as well seeing the bike paths all opening up, and also seeing the students out and about around our campus more so. That's great. So looking forward to it this spring this year.
thanks, Paul. Kate, I've got you up next, followed by Amanda, Kelly, and Patty.
Hi, folks. I'm Kate McPherson, Save the Bay's Narragansett Bay Riverkeeper. I'm also on the board of the collab. And my sign of spring that I saw yesterday was the red maple trees are blooming.
Love it.
Hi, I'm Amanda Coffier with Upper Blackstone Clean Water. One sign of spring that I've been seeing, I'm in a lot of farming like communities, and baby chicks for chickens are coming around, so very exciting. I'm gonna try hatching my own this year, so we'll see how that goes.
Good luck, Amanda.
Good morning, everyone. Kelly King, environmental planner with the Horsley Witten Group. My sign of spring, like many other folks, is all of the early spring flowers that are starting to poke up, including in my garden, which we're happy about.
Great. Thanks, Kelly. And last but not least, I think we have Patty.
Well, let's see if I can make it into a poem. Sitting on the front porch, reading a book in the beautiful sunshine that we had last week. Return of the red-shouldered hawk in my neighborhood. I think he lives nearby, and he's been calling every morning. And of course, the return of some of the other migrating birds. It's nice to hear a couple of different songs from the song sparrow and not just the chickadee and the titmouse. Not that I don't love them, but I do. But yeah, I guess I didn't make a poem, but
you were close.
I was close. I'm going to play around with that, though. I started thinking in my head.
I love it. Thanks,
and
Patty.
I'm Patty. I'm a VIP with the Heritage Corridor and National Parks and poet.
I feel like you should just be called poet in residence for the Blackstone.
Yeah. I did get Alice in Bologna once called me the Pawtucket's poet laureate when I lived in Pawtucket, and I did a few poems for some special events, and actually did a poem for when she opened up her little spot on Pine Street in Pawtucket. But yeah, I'll take that title.
I love it. Thanks, Patty. Okay, from here, I'll stop sharing and I will hand it to Curry, the Urban Tree Program Manager at Groundwork Rhode Island.
Thanks. Yeah, let me just share my screen here. See. Okay, can y'all see my slides here?
Yes, looks great.
Great. Yeah, so my name's Curry Tlemcis. I'm the Urban Tree Program Manager with Groundwork Rhode Island. And I'll just kind of share some overview and updates about our tree program that we've had for several years now. And happy spring. Very excited to hear everyone's updates. So yeah, just first I'll touch just quickly on Groundwork, just in case no one knew about us. But we are environmental nonprofit based out of Pawtucket. We also have an office in Providence on the Harris Avenue near like the Farm Fresh Sims area. And we have about 6 different sectors, including our harvest compost cycle compost, where we do like bike compost pickup, adult job training program, our green team youth program that runs through the summer and then partially through the rest of the school year, ground core landscape team, which is our social venture program, and then our storm crew which is a newer part of groundwork, and then our urban forestry program. And we all really do overlap a great deal, especially the latter four with feeding into our urban forestry program with the planting and the maintenance side of it. And as I'm sure all of you are very familiar, being environmental enthusiasts, you know why it's important to plant trees, but we just always have this kind of big checklist of reminders. And then, of course, I put a picture of the beautiful red bud, which will be starting to bloom soon. And yeah, it's a great time to think about trees this season because they're looking gorgeous and yeah, new life to everything. But there's my kind of quick list that you all know. So we plant in 8 different communities across northern Rhode Island, Central Falls, Cumberland, East Providence, Lincoln, Pawtucket, Providence, Woonsocket, and Johnston. I have this map on the right. We do really try to focus, however, in those orange zones, which are like just higher need for low tree canopy, and also often then correlates with lower income and different racial profiles as you would imagine based on like historical redlining and whatnot. So those are the areas that we really try to kind of hone in on within those 8 communities. To target our different outreach approaches, adding a collective just over 3,500 trees to these communities with the different pots of money that we have going. And we do private, residential, and then different public spaces. So really like wherever spaces that properly lend for planting a tree. And our funding right now is primarily sourced through 2 different big grants that we have from the USDA Forest Service and then some penalty funding we received from the Rhode Island Attorney General's office. And so I just have this map up just because when it comes to those like kind of equity zones, we aren't like super, super rigid strict on some of them because some of our funding is sort of just as like a guideline. Some of them we have to plant within CGIST zones, but this is just sort of a side by side of looking at the kind of highlighted orange is a very like, need for trees location. And then on to the right is where we've actually been planting. So we have been really trying to like generally guide our planting within those higher need zones. Here we have some of the outreach materials we use to share information about our program. We have a flyer. We have translated Spanish and Portuguese versions of all of our outreach materials. So we have kind of a flyer handout. We have a door knocker that we do. A lot of our green team over the summer do like door knocking to try to get some more interest through that outreach method. And then we have a postcard to the right with that will send more to more areas that look like by Google Earth have really great spaces for trees. And yeah, we have different colors based on our like funding, but the content is all the same pretty much. So that's what we use there. So even though we do like a lot of different outreach methods, like word of mouth and neighbors and like mayoral newsletters, we found to be the most effective way to get our messaging across. And I've been with Groundwork for just about 3 years, and we're finally getting like a lot of recognition about our programs and traction. And it's of course like I feel like all of you probably can relate to this. Right when you get like the system going, your funding's about to end. So we're kind of rapidly trying to get some new funding underway within these same communities to keep that momentum going because people are now really excited about what we've been able to do and are doing. And yeah, we're trying to keep lifting that up. Gotta love grants. This is just an example of a spread from our tree book. So whenever we've identified some locations to be planting, we'll kind of pick a wide variety of different trees. If it's a residential base, we kind of go through this book with them to pick whichever trees are going to fit their space the best. We really try to prioritize natives whenever possible, do a wide variety of, different species, small, medium, large. And then depending on whether it's going to be on the street or not, of course, street, better street trees, using that, right tree, right place perspective through all of our planting. And so yeah, we do the street trees, depending on the municipality really though, although we have depaving, saw cutting and depaving capacity within groundwork, our ground core landscape team, we have our construction license, so it's great. We can open up sidewalk, but we're also limited by thinking through, we can just plant these trees, but who's going to be taking care of them? And though our organization does the best we can with, we have some watering trucks and trying to help out with that. We can only do so much, and so we are limited by how rapidly we can plant street trees based on that capacity. And so some municipalities just truly can't commit to helping us at all. Like places like Woonsocket, we really can't commit to any public trees because their DPW can't commit to watering them, and we can't hike ourselves up there, every single week to tend to those trees. So that's something that we're always kind of having to think about for all these communities with all of our different public versus private spaces. So we often are like for bigger projects, now kind of steering toward large spaces where we can get a lot of trees that have, a facilities person on site that can really voice, yes, I feel confident that we can water all these trees, or residential trees, which is, of course, then the property owner's responsibility. And typically we've found that if you're getting a tree and interested in having that tree, you're going to water the tree and love the tree. So that's, kind of our three different areas. Thus far out of that a little over 3,500 that we have for funding, we planted about 66%. So a little over 2,300 trees. So we still have a big dent with about 3 seasons left. But again, are drumming up bigger projects at this point to have sort of for funding purposes and just safeguarding the watering, so we're not stretching ourselves too thin on the watering side. And this is our tree lot. We have a wonderful partnership with Good Earth down in Cranston, Rhode Island. They have kindly lent this space for us for free at the back of their lot and in our back of their farm. And we have this set up so we can kind of stage all of our trees there safely before they go into the ground to plant. We have a hooked up irrigation system with poles so we can keep them really happy. This has been 2 years now that we've had this. The first season I started, they were being kept at like a asphalt like parking lot, which was like the only option we had at the time, and it was not ideal for trees. So we're still like thrilled to have this happy space for the trees ahead of each planting season. And we plant spring and fall, so we're just rounding in on our full spring season, getting our first delivery in just about a week and a half, and then we plant again usually like October, November, when trees want to be not getting planted obviously in the depths of winter or heat of summer. So I'll just touch quickly on some of the more, I think, my most exciting proud projects that I've been a part of with this program. So again, we do a lot of residential, which is great, and a lot of street trees, which is great. But like I've recently gotten this like wonderful lift through planting at schools. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Central Falls, but it's a deeply impervious surface city, including this busy intersection along Hunt and Dexter Street, Risk Elementary. So it serves about 400 K through 5 students. And this is a picture here of this like a very expansive blacktop play yard that they're using, until they're in leaving school in June. Very, very hot, no vegetation whatsoever. And we, this past fall, were able to remove a little over 1,000 square feet of pavement and plant 14 new trees and some understory shrubs. This is just our site plan. We unfortunately couldn't do this middle, excuse me, stretch due to underground electric, but and then here is after doing the asphalt removal, this strip with the trees. I'm really excited to go back there this spring because, fall planting is wonderful, but spring planting has like all the leaves are out and it's just another level. So returning to that site this year will be really exciting to see. And we had a lot of like really wonderful hands-on help with the students. So yeah, it was a great uplifting project to really kind of see this start to a transformation. There's still a ton of asphalt, but it was just like a dent in the right direction, in my opinion. We also did some planting at Cumberland Hill Elementary. Again, student influence on these plantings is very uplifting. We had just some street trees along East Providence here. We did a project at one of the health centers. We did about 81 trees at a housing authority in Lincoln. Also a great day with a lot of excited residents. And then I'm just including this photo here is we have an in-house landscape architect who helps to kind of show the mapping, like placement of all the trees that we would review with every facilities person, like superintendents, whomever is like kind of on the lead of steering the projects. And it's a pretty big asset to have a staff member like that to be able to do that with all the, spacing and siting. And then, yeah, 2 more schools. These are kind of quick, smaller pictures, but in one socket. And yeah. So I'm kind of going through this quickly, but hopefully you guys have questions. But for the other thing that groundwork is now like doing in addition to all those big projects and different plantings is we've gotten on a big kick of microforest, which I don't know if any of you have heard of. I'm sure you have at this point, like mini forest, microforests. And we are, this is a photo from our second microforest that we planted on Pearl Street in Providence last May. And we are planting our third microforest this upcoming May, again, Mother's Day weekend on the Saturday. That'll be our third. And if anyone is interested in planting out a microforest, we love to have people stop by. It's a really wonderful, engaging, just a really great day to plant smaller material, very approachable. And then you go back in like honestly a few months and you see this like tremendous, like huge growth. And it's just another kind of way to be inspired, I think. And then we also are doing a little tree giveaway as a new kind of thing to try to get our numbers up a little bit with without having to have our landscape crew go out to plant. We've never done a giveaway before, so I don't really know how it's going to go, but it's just something that we're suggested to try. So can keep an eye out for that if anyone is interested. So, yeah. Does anyone have any questions? Oh, Katie?
Yeah, hello, great presentation. The city of Worcester has done a similar microforest project. In our department, we call it the Miyawaki forest in case anyone has heard that term before. I'm curious, have you ever done any monitoring of the impacts of your microforests? One thing we're interested in is whether we can demonstrate impacts on like heat mitigation or even like air pollution mitigation. Have you done any data collection of that sort, either with a microforest or your street trees?
We haven't with our street trees and our microforest, not directly yet. We are applying for there's EPA like sensor monitors that you can borrow, I guess. So we're gonna have those for this upcoming microforest to have kind of pre and like post once they've been planted for that. But we've been working with one of our groundwork affiliates in Elizabeth, New Jersey. They've done a number of microforests for longer than us. So they have a partnership with Keene University, I believe it is, down there, and they've been doing different analyses like since those microforests got started. So we've been really trying to talk to that professor there that's been spearheading all that research. She's been a really helpful resource for like what different like soil testing we can be thinking of. And yeah, because as far as measurements, we've really been only able to do like, caliper DBH, like just basic measurements on the trees. But that is like a direction we are trying to get better research on. We also did just get like, I think that's Earth Economics. Yeah, it is Earth Economics. Just worked with our trust to look at, kind of the cost benefit analysis of like what a microforest investment does for on like the ecological benefits and down the road yeah, cost breakdown. And it's like uh I think the final numbers are like $4 return for every dollar invested at least. So it's not like massive, but considering the space and what you can put into it, sometimes it is pretty good. But they also are going to think of more guidance to us on measurements and stuff so we can connect. I'm kind of rambling right now, but we could connect because I think it is important to have more of those like definitely the air quality. And we're, I'm sure like in Worcester, they're being planted in really urban spaces. That's what they're intended for. So having that would be good. Oh, Kevin.
Thank you so much for that presentation. The Central Falls Elementary School I used to always drive by on my way home from work. So I always remember looking at it and being like, there has to be some type of alternative. So it's so great to see that you folks have already worked on that. So I look forward to seeing it blooming. I think that the point that you made about having to have buy-in from the towns or municipalities about watering the trees is a really important one, and one that's tough because it's almost like a cycle where they don't have capacity because they do have low income and they don't have the resources needed, so they don't get the tree covering, but they really need it. So you do this weird circle. Has there been any grant opportunities or just discussions overall about subcontracting local landscaping companies, maybe from the area that, because the watering part you could do in the mornings before you go out to the job site type thing, where it would also take buy-in from them of that's a long-term commitment. But have there been any discussions about things like that?
Yeah, there have been discussions for sure. And we've been getting more creative with the way that we kind of like are partnering more with other organizations that are doing any type of tree work where like we know that we have watering trucks, but some organizations just have the planting capacity because yeah, like people love the idea of new trees. It's a very like flashy, like take a photo with that. But then yeah, they don't think the other side of, oh yeah, like half of this project is also keeping those trees alive at those first three crucial establishment years, and that's not flashy. No one wants to think about it as much, unfortunately. So yeah, we've been trying to be creative with different like partially subcontracting out or like trying to help um like we'll do some of the deep paving and you guys get the trees in and like we'll take one tree and we'll kind of share the watering or like different kind of creative things like that. Logistically complex, of course, especially when you have like the scale up of trees that we're tasked with. But yeah, some cities have been able to like work with us there, or they'll have like some pot of money that they've been having to do for that they've gotten from like Bloom, Rhode Island with like planters or something, and then they'll be able to kind of use that subcontractor to take off some of our tree load, for instance. So yeah, we've been doing things like that. I reference Woonsocket because I've been in Rhode Island for some time now, and I'm like everything so far if it's beyond 20 minutes. But it's also the city. We have tried to work with them a bit more for creative solutions, and I think there's just been a lot of turnover in the city side with literal personnel turnover. So we just haven't gotten as much traction with getting that like commitment for some of those trees. But I'm hopeful that we will. But we've been kind of being able to be creative with different spaces there. But it's true. It's a really good point you make, Kevin. Like, yeah, those communities are the ones in the most need, and like, of course, then the maintenance side is just as much need for them. Yeah. Kate.
Thanks. I was looking for an email, but basically, I'm sure you've collaborated with PVD Tree and looked at the PVD Tree plan. I thought I had read a program where they were training local young people, like doing on-site job training and teaching them how to prune and how to water and how to care for street trees. And it was one of these things where it's job opportunities and taking the burden off of, you know, DPWs and municipalities. And it wasn't directly through the city of Providence, I don't think. I think it was a separate program, but these people became certified arborists or certified to prune street trees and to take action and actually do the work. I was wondering if you had talked to them at all about um, watering and expanding the program.
Definitely. Yeah. So it's with Providence Neighborhood Planting Program, PNPP for short. And it's the PVD Tree Keepers program that they do. And that is like beyond valuable program. We work with them all the time. And we are for Providence are more focused in Lower South Providence and Washington Park. We, make sure we're always checking in with each other about where are you planting this season, where are you planting. And we do share that load with some of the watering for sure. And their program of having some of their residents that are abutting those street trees taking that on, it's a huge help. Um, the only trouble with that is like not every resident necessarily can do that. I mean, it is a physical thing to be watering the tree. It is a commitment. It is a lot of outreach hours to then get that commitment, which is again a struggle for us because of the spread of how many communities we're working with. So when it comes to Providence, it is a lot easier, yes, in that community to have that shared partnership with with an organization that can do that type of stewardship. Our green team youth also help with a lot of that. Like that is a big part of their summer curriculum to like learn about tree stewardship and do that as well. And if some of them are living in those communities, they like take responsibility for those trees. But yeah, it's also just like, yeah, water is physically heavy. So unless you like have people with nearby hoses or it's just a lot of logistics behind that. But it does, those types of programs are great because it does take off the lift. And in my after my questions here, I did list off um, another partner that we work with. They're actually out of Virginia, but they've been doing a lot of work within Rhode Island now, the Green Infrastructure Center. We partner with a bunch. They're helping with the watering actually for the Ella Risk Elementary School to have taken that burden off of the school. And they, do a lot of different like outreach and like watering. We're all trying to figure this out too, but they have a stewardship training program out of their work that they're doing under DEM and partnering with the different municipalities that they're working with. So that's another like, yeah, definitely avenue push that we're always trying to like find people to take care of those trees too.
Thanks, Curry. I think we've got one more question in the chat from Patty. She says, do you work with NeighborWorks, Blackstone Valley, and Woonsocket? Perhaps River's Edge Arts would also be another potential partner.
Thank you. Yep. We've actually planted some trees right with at River's Edge a few seasons back, and we did work with NeighborWorks. We planted some trees on some of the properties there last fall. We had a really great connection with one of the HES employees who was there at the time, but she's since left, and the new head person has been great too, but just has a lot of hats right now. And so, she's trying to juggle everything, and like finding new spaces working with us for trees isn't what she can really handle right now, which is totally fair. But yes, thank you. We're really like, if anyone, yeah, Woonsocket is our most difficult community to be trying to find trees on the city side, like the public side of the trees. So any ideas are appreciated, and I will circle back again with them. That's a great idea with River's Edge. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Curry. It was great to hear about this. And I feel like, just another note that the collaborative is incredibly supportive of your work. And if ever we can be helpful of providing letters of support or, otherwise supporting what you do, let us know and we'd happy to be a part of it, or showing up at certain planting days, etc.
Thank you. Yeah, well, if you want to stop by the microforest, that's our next kind of big community event. That'd be great. And if any of you live in any of those communities, I think most, that sounds like maybe not, but feel free to reach out because you may be able to get a free tree.
Great. Thank you so
All right.
much.
Thanks.
Okay, I'm gonna swap our share here. Okay. All right. So if you have other questions for Curry, you can put them in the chat. She had her email there, curry@groundworkri.org. You can follow up that way or let me know and I can get those questions or comments over. Thank you for putting that in the chat. Perfect. So are there any academic partnership or research opportunities that folks want to share? I don't think that we had any specifically. Okay. For access, it's getting to be spring, so we'll hopefully have some more information soon. I know we're helping a couple communities, particularly in Millbury, think about some new access points, and we'll be figuring out renderings and permitting and next steps to be able to implement those. But so far, we really appreciate Millbury being so open and ready to create new points on the river in some of their municipally owned public spaces. But if you're interested in that, we're actually starting to schedule some dates back on the river coming up. So if you would like to get out and see your portion of the river in your community, reach out to Kaylee and we can get that on the books and cross our fingers for good weather. For Bikeway and Greenway, the only thing I had was this recent article that just came out yesterday about Grafton and the working with the Blackstone Heritage Corridor on the Bikeway. Ryan or Anya, did you guys want to mention anything here?
Sure, yeah. We went for, or I should say, the town of Grafton went for a Mass Trails grant that we co-wrote with them to pay for a study through about it would be essentially 0.88 miles of the bike path just south of Main Street. So this is on a couple parcels of land that the town recently purchased. They were looking at what they could do with it to create better access and public recreation. And so that study would help create or think about the trail being created through that land. And it also would connect back to the on-road bike lane that Main Street already has. Because as I think I've shared in the past, our new kind of approach to bike path advocacy is looking at both on and off-road routes, since some off-road routes may never be possible. So this is a great example of that kind of hybrid mix of an on-road route through a Main Street portion, then connecting off-road, getting closer to the river, and bringing you down closer to Northbridge. So it's a small section, but it'll be a great case study in what might be possible in other communities too.
Thanks, Anya. And are you waiting to hear back about that funding right now?
Yes, we haven't heard anything yet. So it was very nice of the community advocate to cover this in anticipation of maybe getting that funding. But we also, as part of the match for it, did apply for CPA funds in Grafton too. And I believe that got approval from the CPA committee and is going to town meeting now. So that should be another positive sign that the town of Grafton is eager to see this completed. But unfortunately, the town planner, Fiona, just departed their planning department. So she was our lead advocate, and we were really so impressed with how she helped us put together this grant. But we're sad to see her go, wishing her obviously all the best and whatever she's up to next. But yeah, that's where things stand in Grafton.
Thank you. And I hadn't heard that Fiona left. She was our primary contact for a few different things, so we'll have to see who comes in next. Thanks for that. Anything else about the Bikeway Greenway that folks want to mention? Other than we're seeing a lot of people get out on it, which is great. And I'm remembering last year we talked about getting together and the collab was going to have one of our Friday meetings on the bikeway and we were just going to walk together. And that just reminded me. So we should pick a date for that and get out there together and meet in person. Speaking of meeting in person for our Fish Passage update, we mentioned this last time, but save the date for Saturday, May 16th for our next Fish Passage or Fish Migration Parade. Like last year, it will be a paddling parade again, where we get out on the water with the Blackstone Valley Tourism Council. And we'll have kayaks to rent from the Tourism Council. If you don't want a boat, individually, you can also reserve a seat on the 40-person Explorer, Riverboat Explorer. And you can also bring your own canoe or kayak if you have it. Registration will open around April 1st. So we've got a little bit of time left where we're just sort of dotting our I's, crossing our T's, and finalizing our sponsorships. So this is also a last call for sponsorships. We're hoping to get all of those finalized so that we can make sure we have everyone's logos and information for our upcoming outreach. So this event, we ask if you're renting a kayak for just $5 to sort of reserve your spot. And if that presents a challenge to anybody, if you just email us, we'll cover your cost. We just sort of use that as a way to make sure people really show up if they put a little bit of skin in the game with $5. Anything else on Fish Passage or questions about that?
Stephanie, this is Patty. I just want to mention that I can again do a press release once we're closer to announcing the registration. And this time I'm going to reach out to Allison Bologna at Channel 10 and Ashley Erling. I don't know her married name now. She just got married last year, but with the Road Show to see if we can get some TV coverage, like an interview beforehand.
I love it. Thanks, Patty. That is on my to-do list of getting a press release out there. So I appreciate that. Thanks. For water quality, I'll hand it to Kaylee.
Great. So our next CSO working group meeting will be in May. We're continuing to meet quarterly unless there's some kind of development. We know that the city's working on their long-term control plan actively, and we know that there should be another community meeting coming up in the future. We're not exactly sure when. So for now it's May, and then we'll kind of meet as needed as well. And in terms of CSO events, there were two in the last month. The one on the 6th of March was 1.8 million gallons treated. And then there was another one on the 16th that actually didn't have the number listed. It was like they sent out two of the same one that said like the CSO is coming. We don't know how much the actual gallons will be. So I plan on following up on that and I can let you all know.
Thanks. And that presents a good point as well that this is one of those challenges that makes CSO kind of confusing for people that they're required to send these emails to anyone that's on the CSO list for notifications every so many hours, even if the CSO is still ongoing and they don't know the final number yet, which on the one hand makes sense for transparency, but on the other hand, if you're signing up for these emails, you're getting many of them during a rain event, and they're not always really clear what that means. And then there are times like this where we don't receive that sort of final email with those numbers. So this is not something that the collaborative is tackling by ourselves, but we hope to work with partners, including Mass Rivers, to think about opportunities to improve sort of transparency and education and clarity around this issue. So a note also, that Mass Rivers is having a combined sewer overflow summit here in Worcester on April 29th from 10 to 4. So they're hoping to bring together communities and stakeholders that work on CSOs. I've asked them about, what is the sort of energy of this event? Are we going to, really villainize the communities like Worcester that have this? And they said, no, it is here. We're doing this to be in partnership, to work together and find common solutions. We're not just going to yell at these municipalities that they need to do more. We understand that it needs to be, a partnership. So their goal is to strengthen collaboration. It'll be at the Beechwood Hotel on Wednesday, the 29th. So we invite you to join us. We will be there. I know many of our partners will be as well. Also on water quality, you hopefully have heard that the Blackstone River Coalition is having their annual Water Quality Monitoring Summit and Volunteer Appreciation Day. And we are piggybacking on that event to also host our kickoff for our watershed-based plan right afterwards. So these two events will both be on March 28th at the Sing Performing Arts Center in Whitensville, Mass., which is part of Northbridge. The first part of the event starts around 9, where the Water Quality Monitoring Summit will happen. We'll have a short break around 11. We will feed you breakfast in the morning. We will feed you lunch in the afternoon. And then we'll transition to this watershed-based plan. We're going to be doing some breakout groups. And trying to get your feedback on what do you think is really important as we make this watershed-based plan. So where are areas that you know are concerning for impacting water quality? What are solutions that you're really interested in? What are your goals, your water quality goals for the watershed? So we'll talk about all these things. We'll explain what a watershed-based plan is, and we hope to make it really interactive and fun and not terribly dry. So we hope you can join us there. We don't have a registration. You can just show up, but we will offer a hybrid option. We're hoping that most people come in person, but if you want to join online, we do have that set up. So just reach out to us and we'll share that information with you. Any questions or anything else on water quality that folks want to share?
Stephanie, it's Patty again. I don't know if you're still following the Woonsocket treatment plant, but I've been reading a few articles in the Valley Breeze where it seems like they're getting closer to either shutting down or turning it over to the Narragansett Bay Commission. I'm not sure which, but so yeah.
I've heard through the grapevine, this is speculation, so I wouldn't
Yeah.
hang your hat on it, but I believe that it's going to be taken over, whether it's by Narragansett Bay Commission or another company. I think it's transferring ownership, though, or management at least. I've also heard that the sludge from that facility had been sort of dried and packed into like cakes and then sold off as a product. And that facility is actually closing, which on the one hand is good because residents have been complaining about that smell for a very long time. And so that's a positive that they don't have to deal with that anymore. But it's also potentially a challenge because that product that was sort of a net income for the facility is now going to be a cost for them to be able to dispose of that solid sludge. And so it's a question mark of how that will affect either how the facility is running or if that cost is passed on to ratepayers. But yeah, good point, Patty. I'm not entirely sure what's going on with Woonsocket, but you know, as Curry mentioned, there is a lot of turnover in staff, so it can be challenging to develop and maintain those relationships.
This
Anything else?
is Nick. I'll just add, echoing what Steph was saying for the kickoff. We really appreciate the BRC collaborating with us to have the kickoff right after. I think it'll be great to have all that water quality information and folks in the room and then lead into the kickoff. That's like the ideal scenario for us. So thank you. And just, yeah, we definitely want to hear from folks. We'll provide lots of background information so you don't need to come with any expertise. But in a watershed plan, a key piece of it is hearing from the local stakeholders and hearing all those different interests and goals and what people have experienced on the ground so that we can get that information into the plan. So definitely hope all the folks involved in this call can join and give us that good input, and then that'll make an even better plan, hopefully, that we can work on in the coming year or so.
Thanks, Nick. For restoration, Um, as you know, we're working on our Kitticock Restored project, which is all about improved hydrology and river management, restoring the river and improving access. So, in order to get out to not just sort of this group of folks, which we know that you guys know us, typically most of what the collaborative does focuses on municipal, tribal, and organizational engagement, but we're trying to get out more into the public around this Kitticock Restored project and do really fun interactive events to kind of focus on the fun thing and then on the side also get some feedback and talk about this project. So check out our events page if you're not on our newsletter and have seen these yet. But of course, our next event is this Water Quality Summit and Watershed-Based Plan. We also have a really fun benefit bake at American Flatbread in Worcester. So any time during the day, if you buy a flatbread from American Flatbread on April 14th, a portion of those proceeds will come to the collaborative, and a bunch of us will be hanging out there that evening. They also have bowling, which is so fun. So if you want to come have pizza and bowl with us and also at the same time donate to a great cause, we would love to see you there. We are also working with Narragansett Brewing to have a Blackstone themed trivia night on April 20th. So we're working with it turns out that our board chair Kate is a trivia guru. So she's been helping put together some ideas of questions and themes like songs that feature rivers, or Kate, do you want to mention anything else?
I would say I'm a trivia guru. I just attend trivia sometimes.
Compared to me, I would say guru.
Yeah, and the particular trivia company that does the trivia at Narragansett Brewing also does the trivia at my local place. Um, I'm still waiting to hear from that person, so maybe we should talk to our contact at Narragansett Brewing because it's been quiet.
Okay.
But yeah,
We
we're
can do
gonna
that.
hopefully have a really fun trivia event for everybody, so mark your calendar.
Love it. Thanks, Kate. After that, we have a hike coming up at Blackstone Gorge. Thank you to the Park Service and the Heritage Corridor, which have helped us partner and put that on. I've actually somehow never been to the gorge and hiked there, so I'm really looking forward to this. It's a really beautiful spot on the river. Of course, we have our fish parade, and in anticipation of that, the week before, we'll have our craft night. Thank you, Kaylee, for managing that craft night. And do you want to talk about what we'll be planning that night?
Sure. So it's not set in stone just yet, but we'll have a community craft. So everyone will make a little piece of something and then we'll incorporate it into kind of a larger art piece. We're trying to make it a little bit more artsy to kind of keep with the parade theme. So you can color a fish. We'll have fish masks for kids to make as well, all kinds of different stuff. So it should be a lot of fun. And that's at Friends of the Blackstone in Manville.
Thanks, Kaylee. Yeah, I love to be able to incorporate this like fun public art into some of our events. And then lastly, I think there's actually a couple more coming, but we have yoga at Riverbend. Thank you, Kate, for running that in Uxbridge on June 8th. And then flatwater kayaking at Coes. Thanks to Katie, who's helping us organize that with the park department in Worcester. So we've got tons of stuff coming up. We hope that you'll join us. And if you have questions, let us know. For grants, we have a lot of those too. I was sort of joking this week of, if you're not stressed out about one stop, are you even like working in the environmental world this week? It's just been wild. But we are working to support several different Eco One Stop grants through the MVP program, the Culvert Replacement Municipal Assistance Program, as well as the EEA Dam and Seawall Program. So those are on a variety of different things of replacing culverts, addressing flooding at a fire station, and also addressing a breach between the canal and the river that causes both flooding in the canal as well as drought conditions in the river. After that, we're also assisting a private dam owner to apply for the Mass Rivers Preliminary Technical Services Assistance Program. So Linwood Pond Dam in Northbridge, where the owner has pursued a feasibility study for removal before and is interested still in doing that. And then lastly, you probably have heard, but DER's partnership program has finally opened. This is the grant that I've basically been waiting for it to reopen since the first day of the collaborative. We didn't exist yet when it first opened 5 years ago, and we're very excited for it to reopen now so that we can apply to be one of the DER watershed partnerships, restoration partnerships throughout the state, and receive both funding and technical assistance from DER to better focus on what are our restoration priorities and how can we work together as a collaborative with all of you to improve those conditions. So likely many of you will be hearing from us in the coming weeks as we request letters of support for those applications. And if you guys are applying for Eco One Stop programs, you probably have, I'm sure you have heard, it was supposed to be due today. And then because their program was running slow, they have extended it to be due next Friday. And if you're looking for a last minute letter of support on your programs, let us know and we're happy to help. We also are really excited to announce that just this week, we got the final announcement that the Narragansett Bay Estuary Program will be providing some funding to the collaborative so that we can do sediment testing on the river. We talked about this in the fall and we're so excited. So some of the things that we were tasked with when the collaborative started was understanding some of those baseline questions that we have about what is our hydrology and how does that flow, right? We're doing this H&H study now with Horsley Witten. We're really excited about the results of that. We're moving it along. One of the other big questions and challenges was around sediment. Whenever we talk about restoration on the main stem, we usually get this kind of hard stop of, well, we don't know what the sediment is, so we can't do anything. So this is a really foundational piece of information that we need in order to move forward other restoration projects. So we are anticipating collecting samples somewhere between 10 to 20 sites, both upstream and downstream of key dams. We are focusing on Massachusetts for this grant because Massachusetts dams are smaller and the regulatory and permitting and funding realm is a little bit simpler in Massachusetts. There are more opportunities to advance those restoration projects. So we haven't released this yet. We will very soon. We'll be releasing an RFP for a consultant to assist us with this. So we need someone to help us go out into the field, teach our staff and maybe a key few individuals from our partner organizations how to do the sediment sampling. And then we'll be hiring a lab separately to get those processed. And then the consultant will create a report for us of how do these samples look between upstream and downstream. Are they different or are they the same? And also, how do they compare against ecological and human health thresholds? So we hope that by getting this training for ourselves and some few others, we can increase our own capacity so that we can do this moving forward in other areas on the main stem or in our tributaries or as partners need us instead of always hiring a consultant. We might be able to provide that as a technical assistance. So if you're interested, keep an eye out for the RFP. We'll share it in our newsletter once it's ready. I'm sure many of you will get an email from us. And if your organization is interested in being a part of that small training, reach out to me and give me some information about who that would be and what it would be, how you think you would use that training. And we'll start putting together a small list of some of those people and organizations. So we have a few partner updates that folks asked us to share, and then I'll hand it over to you guys to share yours. So Kaylee, I'll ask you for this one.
Sure. So there's a couple culvert trainings coming up. The first one is from DER. It's a one-day training at Berkshire Community College. So that's next week. There's also another DER training that's 4.5 days, so definitely a time commitment. And that is in Hadley in May. And then we are also running a 4-day in-person training in West Warwick, Rhode Island in early April. I have a few spots left. I have about 3 spots left. So if you're interested, definitely shoot me an email and I can send you the registration link. But yeah, we're really excited to help their town out. It's primarily for their DPW in West Warwick. They have a lot of issues with flooding and they were really interested in getting this training. So we are working with Save the Bay and the SNAP network to provide the training for them. And then we're also having some community members get trained too. So
thanks, Kaylee. And if you're a consultant or work with consultants, you can let them know that we are providing this is free for any community members, nonprofits, etc. But we are transitioning now to charging consultants. So this will be sort of the first one where we have a discount. So for this 4-day training, you'll get 2 certifications from NAC, and it'll be $500 for consultants to join. In the future, we anticipate that price going up. So if you want to jump in those last few spots at that discounted rate, we encourage you to reach out. Also for BRC, the River Coalition is looking for their new water quality monitoring volunteers. So if you're interested in what that means, you can reach out to Heather, or you can come to the Water Quality Monitoring Summit next Saturday, not tomorrow, the week after. You can learn more about that data, what's required, what's involved, and how the data is being used. And then they'll start their season in April. So every second Saturday of the month, they go out between April and November at 75 different sites throughout the watershed, collecting data that is critical to making these decisions around things like our watershed-based plan, the 303D list. That data gets shared with DEP, the Narragansett Bay Estuary Program, many different organizations. It's really critical. So we encourage you to reach out if you're interested in volunteering. Friends of the Blackstone is also having an Earth Day open house coming up on April 18th from 10 to 4 at their facility at Sycamore Landing. A lot of different organizations will be there tabling. They're also going to have some fun activities like fishing and fossils. So join us then and learn more about Friends of the Blackstone's work. So from here, I'll hand it to you guys. Are there other events, questions, things coming up that you would like to share? I've learned over the years to embrace the awkward silence and just wait. There it is. Go ahead, Heidi.
So this isn't an event or anything, but just a quick update on Mass Ready, the environmental bond. We're hearing that it's probably going to move onto the Senate floor sometime in April. So stay tuned. And it does look like there's going to be some good things in there, not just for funding, but also for streamlining for restoration and nature-based solutions projects. So.
Great. Thanks, Heidi. We really appreciate Mass Audubon leading the charge there. Anything else that folks want to share?
Hi, Stephanie. It's me again, the poet. And I just wanted to share that one of my poems is going to be utilized at the Stormwater Story Walk at Roger Williams Park. And I had the pleasure of recording it. The Audubon Society asked me to record it. So I guess they will also, in addition to the poem being part of the story walk, there will be a recording of myself reading the poem. I don't know when that's all going to open up. When I do, I'll share that date. Hopefully it won't conflict with any of the wonderful dates you guys have got going. So, but anyway, it's a poem I wrote about watching a great blue heron by the pond. So it could fit there. It could also fit anywhere along the Blackstone, where I've watched many a great blue heron. I call them the Buddhas of the river.
I love it. Thanks, Patty. And thank you, Danica, for putting that in the chat. Apologies, I should have put that on a slide. This is the SNAP Network has a grant funding workshop next Wednesday for Rhode Island communities in particular. They'll be talking with and about several different grant funders and opportunities. So we've heard from a lot of different communities about priority projects that you have, and this is a great way to learn how to match those projects to different funding opportunities coming up. Thanks, Danica. That's always a good one. And if you missed the Massachusetts one, that is on their website. It's recorded and you can rewatch that and learn about those opportunities for Massachusetts. All right, last call. Anything else? Okay. Well, Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope to see you next time, April 17th. We have Molly Hastings from Rhode Island Beaver Management coming back. Apologies that did not happen last time. And hopefully we see you in the meantime next Saturday at the BRC Water Quality Summit and Watershed Based Plan kickoff. Thanks, everybody. Happy spring.
Thank you.